I hope you guys are having a wonderful night. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I just had to come in to talk about just something that I think the whole community is paying attention to. Some are concerned about it. Some of you may just think it's interesting. I have no idea, but I see it as having racial implications and undertones, as well as wealth related undertones that I hope that we'll consider tonight. And today I'm with Jeff Lightsy Jr. Jeff Lightsy Jr. Is from Victory Formation Sports, which is a show in Louisville, Kentucky. On what channel, Jeff?
It's on 93.9 The Ville, but it's all over the internet. I do my show on YouTube, on Facebook, on everything. So if you just follow Jeff Lightsy Jr., you'll see what he's talking about.
Okay, very cool. Now, the reason that some of you got the alert is, and I know it's later than we normally go live, but I just said, we got to talk about this now because this is just too interesting and kind of shocking, actually. And it has to do with Shannon Sharpe. Now, how many of you, give me a yes in the chat if you are aware and have been following what's been going on with Shannon Sharpe. And apparently there's a lady that Gabriella, OnlyFans model, that he got involved with, who's much younger than him. I want to say maybe about 35 years younger than him, something like that. And it's gotten real messy. She accused him of some things that were highly inappropriate. He fired back at her and her attorney, Tony Busby. And it looked good for him for a minute. But then it started to get a little strange. And it involved an offer that he made allegedly for $10 million to make it go away. It also involves a crazy tweet or a crazy message that was revealed on Twitter. And so I'm not going to talk about it further. I want to let Jeff talk about it because Jeff is the journalist. Jeff, what's been going on with this case?
So to pick up where we left off, Doc, I think while we were live, Shannon's attorney held a press conference. And in that press conference, or I don't know if it was a major one, but it was enough to where media members were there. And while they were there, it was revealed that they offered the young lady, Gabriella, OnlyFans model by the name of Carly, they offered her $10 million. So that was kind of like the first red flag.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like an innocent man. I'm gonna just put it out there like as plainly as possible. Doc, I don't know about you, but if I was ever falsely accused, I wouldn't be offering anybody a dime, let alone $10 million freaking dollars. If I'm 100% innocent, or if I'm claiming my innocence publicly, because Shannon's doing that, and so they offered her $10 million according to the attorneys, and she turned it down. So once again, I didn't see that when we did our last live. So once I saw that, I was like, she's holding a big joker that nobody knows about. You playing cards, and you got the big joker. And it can't be this edited video Shannon keeps referencing, because he kept talking about there's an edited video that they're probably going to release that shows whatever. And so I was like, okay, that'll probably show like some handcuffs or collars or whatever the wild freaky stuff that was going on in their bedroom based on the text messages that Shannon released. Well, the big joker happens to be the text messages that they have now released, because they're releasing everything via TMZ, and TMZ put it out about an hour ago. These messages allegedly from her to Shannon, and it was two that just was like, oh, okay, this changes everything, and this makes the $10 million offer make sense. And I don't know if you have those text messages or to pull up.
I do. I'm gonna share my screen.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's on I have it on my Twitter. If you want to join the conversation, my Twitter is drboycewatkins1, Dr. Boyce Watkins 1. So here is the text revealed by a guy named Dove Kleinman. He says, horrifying text messages between Shannon Sharpe and the 21-year-old OnlyFans model have been released. Quote, I cried when you left because I begged you to put a condom on and not put it in my ass, and you didn't listen. And then there's another quote, I don't care what our history is. No means no, Shannon. And here it looks like they have something. I don't know what.
Those are supposed to be the messages. So once again, this is TMZ. TMZ received these. Busby's leaking everything to TMZ, and they received these, and they put out the messages in form that it was delivered to them. And the green message is actually from Shannon allegedly to her after she sends those two really, really damaging messages saying, "Can I call you?" Meaning almost making it seem like let's clear this up right before it gets worse than it is. And according to Shannon, those messages were sent on January 1st, 2025. And according to Shannon, whatever happened during that time, January 1st, he says via his lawyer that he cut things off with this young lady January 2nd, 2025. Well,
Okay.
it kind of correlates right up until the moment that those messages were sent. So it actually almost works in her favor even
let's
more.
back up. Sorry, I apologize. I missed your math a little bit. So you said Shannon was saying the relationship ended January 2nd. And then what was the other date you gave?
January 1st is when those text messages were allegedly sent.
Oh, okay. All right.
So yeah, so it actually works in her favor because they said that before these messages were released. Like in their statement, they said Shannon Sharpe ended the relationship and they put it around roughly January 2nd, 2025. Because in her original lawsuit, she said that 2 bad incidents happened to her, one in September of 24 and the other in January of 25. And now they're revealing what that, at least that second bad incident that happened, which happened January 1st, 2025, which would have been essentially New Year's Eve, right? Like they do whatever they did New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, which is the first. She sends that message like, hey, I told you not to do that. And then on the second is when his lawyers came out before all of this was released and said he ended things. So it kind of works in her favor based on the stuff that they've already admitted to between the $10 million offer and them saying he cut things off on January 2nd when she's showing messages allegedly from the first that show that she said no means no. Like,
right. So what I'm gonna tell you what I'm seeing, and I want everybody to know that whether Shannon's guilty or not, I'm gonna let the courts decide that. I'll let you have your own opinion, but I want everybody to know why we're talking about this topic and why I let you all know that we're talking about this topic. It's because for 2 reasons, at least a couple of reasons. One, this does impact wealth. Like Shannon's about to allegedly sign this $100 million deal. He's going to lose a whole lot of that money, and he might lose more than money, right? That's the first thing. But then second of all, we're all black up in here. How many black people we got in the building? There might be some white folks in here, and we love y'all too. But how many black folks are here? How many of y'all got black sons? Anybody got a black son, black brother, black husband, black man in your family that plays a sport, black man in your family's got a little money, black man in your family who's attracting women, chasing women, getting in all kinds of situations? Give me a yes if in the chat if you're in that category. And the reason I say this is because what I'm seeing here's 2 things that went to my brain as I saw this. And I say this as a man in his 50s, is that 2 things came to mind. One, I thought about the fact that athletes have most of them have CTE. And if you remember, Aaron Hernandez, who played the same position as Shannon Sharpe, the other really great tight end, Kellen Winslow Jr. played the same position as Shannon Sharpe. Both of those men had significant brain damage, and the damage was to the prefrontal cortex primarily. The prefrontal cortex is what controls your urges, right? And that why does that matter? Well, because urges might tell you want to do one thing, but then you're not supposed to do it. Well, for some of these guys, when that prefrontal cortex is damaged, they don't stop the urges. Aaron Hernandez would go to a club and get mad at somebody right after he won the Super Bowl for the Patriots. He won the Super Bowl. He'd get mad at somebody and go to his gun and go kill him because he wanted to kill him. And cops didn't even consider him to be a suspect because they were like, why would a Super Bowl champion be out here murdering people? Kellen Winslow clearly lost it because this man was going around assaulting like 80-year-old women. I'm not saying that assault is ever okay in any situation, but that's clearly odd behavior. So here's my point. I'm not making excuses for him at all. I want to make that clear. But I think that's a variable to just process in terms of what this does to the brains of your black boys when you get them, playing football at that level. It's kind of scary. The second thing that came to mind, Jeff, was alcohol. It's New Year's Eve. People get drunk. When they get drunk, they do stuff. But the difference is that when a woman gets drunk and makes a bad decision, she can't go to prison for that decision. There's almost nothing I've ever seen a woman did while she was drunk, at least involving sex, that led to her going to prison based on what she did when she was drunk. Women can say, I was drunk, I didn't know what I was doing, I have no accountability for my decision. But if you're drunk and you're as drunk as she is, and y'all sleep together, there are people who will say that your son assaulted that woman. right? And again, now in this case, it seems a little deeper, right? The text message and all that doesn't look good for him. But I'm really wondering if Shannon was like, "Oh my God, I got drunk," and you're mixing the CTE with the alcohol. That's what I'm saying, right? I got drunk and I might have made a horrible mistake. Let me break off 10 million to this OnlyFans model who I broke up with the day after she makes the accusation, and then I can make it go away. I think this has him scared. I know he's playing the tough guy, but it seems to me, Jeff, like he's got to be very nervous about this.
He has to. And like you said, you don't offer $10 million if you just feel like everything's peaches and cream, especially when, like, I mean, let's call it what it is, a sleazeball like Tony Busby is the lawyer, because Jay-Z didn't offer nothing. Like, there's nothing that came out about Jay-Z offering 10 million to this woman or whatever, and we found out that was all fabricated and false. But when Shannon's lawyers openly admit they offered her 10 million and she turned it down, I'm not saying that screams like a guilty man. It just don't scream an innocent man. I mean, I don't know what it scream, but it don't scream innocent. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
it's just
it screams that to me. It just says they definitely wanted to go away, but that's so much money to pay.
Yes, so that's the thing. Like, that's the thing. Like once again, there's like settlements for a lot less for allegedly a lot more. Right? Like, there's settlements, a $1 million settlement's a lot of money, a $5 million settlement's a lot of money. We're talking about $10 million. Like, that is a ton of money for a 21-year-old that you allegedly met at the gym. Like, so now more and more stuff's coming out. Allegedly, he met this 21-year-old who was then 19 at the gym, and that's how they became involved. Because I'm like, at a person of Shannon's status, like, how do you meet a 21-year-old white woman? I mean, I'm just calling it what it is, because a 21-year-old white woman is a lot of times they're the daughters of the people signing a lot of Shannon's checks, right? Like, I'm sure the people over at the Volume, like I think Colin has a 21-year-old daughter, right? Like, so Colin has a 21-year-old white daughter. The people over at ESPN, I'm sure they have 21-year-old white daughters or nieces or whatever. So where is Shannon meeting these people's kids or grandkids, or what's going on? But allegedly it came from the gym, and it's just like, I don't know, man. Like, you can't, I mean, for a man who said he put a lot of time and effort, because you brought up the incident from 2010, to essentially try his best to avoid situations like this, you put yourself right in the line of fire when you decided that you're going to go into the bedroom of a then 19-year-old. And then to keep it going for multiple years. Like, come on, man. Like, you're literally playing with fire and asking to get burned.
Yeah, I would say, and by the way, everybody, I'm talking to Jeff Lightsy Jr. From Victory Formation Sports, and his show is everywhere, and you should follow him at JLightsy7. JLightsy7's right there on the screen, so everybody go follow this brother, because Jeff is really good. He's right on top of stuff. He's the one that told me about this, and that's why I went live at this time, because I said this is a conversation the whole Black community needs to have, not just Shannon and his attorneys. The second thing, too, is if you want a wealth guide and want to learn about wealth and how to protect wealth and how wealthy people protect wealth, which is ironic because Shannon's wealth has not been protected, feel free to go to drboycefinance.com. There's a free wealth guide there. You can take a look at that and decide if there's something that can help you. All right. So Shannon Sharpe. All right. So just to catch everybody up. So Shannon Sharpe, the reason that we're talking about it is because since we discussed it a few hours ago, there have been major developments. I think at that time, Jeff, when we talked earlier with Tierra Williams, there was kind of a lot of empathy for Shannon, in the sense that we felt like it was a shakedown, that we felt like, he was just sort of being targeted because he had all this money and he was messing with this girl, and now she's disgruntled. And the biggest mistake you could say that Shannon might have made was, the idea of being 50-something years old, dating a girl young enough to be his granddaughter, not even his daughter. He got kids that are 13 years older than her. But now it's become this thing where, since it's been revealed that he offered her the $10 million, that right there raised an eyebrow. And then I think that text you sent me, where she's at least appearing to be distressed over things that happened the day before, him refusing to wear the condom, him putting it in without permission, her having to tell him no means no. And then his only response is, "Can I call you later?" His response was not what you would expect a man to say if you're accusing him of assault. You would expect a man to be like, "What are you talking about? I didn't do none of that." Right. If you remember that brother who made that movie, because a lot of these brothers, I don't understand why they don't get it, but the one who made the movie, the Nat Turner movie, and they went and got him like right before.
Oh yes. Dang.
Was it Nate something? Nate Parker.
Nate Parker. Yes.
Yeah, Nate Parker. When Nate Parker, here's the thing with Nate Parker that was interesting is when they were trying to claim that he did this thing, and with Nate, it was a different situation. They were talking about something that allegedly happened 12, 13 years ago when he was a freshman in college. This man's 34 years old, about to put out a movie, and people were trying to claim that these things happened, and there was no proof of it. But even then, I think he had like somehow there was a recording where she's like accusing him and saying, you did this, you did that. He's like, what are you talking about? I didn't do none of that. You were participating. You were right. He was fighting that right in the moment. He would say, let me call you and offer you $10 million. Right. That what do you think is going to happen, Joe? I mean, I think this could actually put his whole relationship with ESPN in jeopardy, even though. Go ahead, please.
No, to that point. So before these text messages, that's the thing. Like everybody has something to say about this, and so Stephen A. is the one who brought Shannon to ESPN. Stephen A. is the one who lobbied for Shannon. He's the executive producer of First Take, which is the show that Shannon is on. And even Stephen A. said, like he went on his podcast about an hour before the text messages dropped. He said, "Oh no, the bosses at ESPN are talking about this. Like this isn't something they're taking lightly." And he said, it's not my call to keep Shannon. There's people above me, and they're having serious discussions about whether Shannon can return. And he was like, will Shannon be able to return? I can't tell you that he can. Like he said, he said it. Now, that's Stephen A. That's the head honcho over at First Take. That's the only show that Shannon is a part of over at ESPN. And he's like, I can't tell you if Shannon's going to be able to come back because they're doing their own investigation. And once again, this was before these text messages were released. And I thought another thing, because I've been consuming content on this constantly. Dan Le Batard, who worked at ESPN for years and who's in the media, he has the Dan Le Batard show. He's really big media person. Like he knows all the ins and outs, and he has his own production company. Dan Le Batard said that the news that Shannon was going to get this $100 million deal broke over the weekend, which is weird. Right, because over the weekend people aren't working for the most part. Like when you want a story like this out, it's typically when everybody's at work. Like everybody a Monday morning, like just like they like Friday news dump. Like people don't like dumping major news on Fridays or especially over the weekend because most people are off work on the weekend. Like typically, if you want this story to get the most pub, you leak it during the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever. But anything, but I think this story came out on Saturday. He's like, so I found it interesting that the story came out on Saturday. Once again, this is a seasoned journalist, a seasoned media member. And the way he spun it was actually brilliant. He's like, because they knew this lawsuit was coming out. So if they knew this lawsuit was going to come out on Monday or Sunday, whenever it came out, he's like, so you put the news that you're about to get this $100 million deal out there because you know this lawsuit is about to come out. So that way you can spin the narrative that it's a shakedown, that it's a money grab, that, hey, I'm about to get 100 million. I've got millions in the bank already. I'm about to get another major deal. And this young girl is trying to shake me down. Like that's how, and I was like, dang, like that is exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. And you try to get in front of it before it gets to this level. And now all of a sudden, as more facts are starting to come out, it's not looking like a shakedown at all. It's actually looking like something may have actually taken place that she didn't want to take place.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a good theory there because you could tell they were ready for it. Like you could tell that there had already been a lot of discussion behind the scenes. And, and what I really am just sad about is I don't know. Again, I can't say that Shannon did this or didn't do this. I'll leave that to the courts to decide. I think it should be heard. I think at the very least, none of it makes sense. If you're talking about a man that's worked so hard to be successful, talks about how hard he works to protect his career, and just to kind of get caught like that, in a way that's just problematic is kind of an issue, right? And you wonder, and I guess it's one of these things where that a lot of people have paid off people to keep things quiet. I mean, I'm sure Trump's got a whole lot of skeletons in his closet for people that have been paid.
Come on,
he didn't pay his porn star. What Shannon offered $10 million. I think Stormy Daniels got a few $100,000 or something.
200,000, 250,000, something like that.
Yeah, and but then again, I don't think she made accusations against Trump. She just slept with him, right? Yeah. And so I think that's but I'm gonna tell you, I think it's it speaks to something, my dad used to say that he said that a person who has a lot to lose should not be spending a lot of time around people who have nothing to lose. And so far, you know, it's Gabriella 5, Shannon 0, right? Like meaning she has not just made him look pretty bad. She also can say, I turned down 10 million because we have something on him. It's hard to turn down $10 million, even if you're making as much money as she might have been making on OnlyFans. And then also it speaks to the fact that another part of this as well is everybody's talking about it. You know, so she's probably got 10,000 new subscribers on her OnlyFans on top
without
of
question. Without
right
question.
on top of all of that, right? So I just think that's a big win for her. And I was really surprised. What do you think about this? I'm shocked with all the leverage she had that they were so forward and aggressive with her and her attorney Tony
Yeah.
Busby. Like it almost seems
Yeah.
like like they had you backpedaling, but you coming out here like you really got the lead in the game, or you really have the best offense on the floor when you really should have been playing a little more defense. What do you think
Yeah.
about that? It almost seems like it's backfiring on them.
Yeah, that's the part to me. I guess because Shannon has this image of being very forthcoming and open and honest, right? Like his public image is honesty. Like you get the PC version of him on ESPN, but because of this persona that he's built up on the internet, essentially via Club Shay Shay and his Nightcap, they get really open and honest and talking about their sexual endeavors and all kinds of stuff. And then on Club Shay Shay, obviously he allows the people, his guests, most notably Cat Williams, to come on there and just speak their truth, right? Whether it's the real truth or not, it's their truth. So he allows them to be, and he isn't someone to push back on anything they say. So like that is one thing that's kind of like worked in his benefit. And so I guess he calls himself being open and honest to an extent, saying like, hey, they're trying to shake me down. This is a money play. Like y'all can read the room. This is Unc. I'm gonna always keep it real with y'all. And so people are like naturally buying into that persona. It's like they're naturally buying into like, yeah, man, Unc wouldn't lie to us. I mean, he literally calls himself America's uncle, right? Like a Black America's uncle or America's uncle, whatever. He has everybody call him Unc or allows them to, and all these type of things. So it's like, oh, Unc's gonna keep it real with us. In all honesty, it looks as if he wasn't really keeping it 100% real, right? And it just, I don't know, man. Like these messages are so damning because now we're about to get into the people who may have not liked Shannon for his success anyway, right? Like he's been ultra successful. Yet, see, now we're about to get those people to peek their head out. See, I always knew it was something up with him. I knew he wasn't all this like Unc and all this. So now those people are gonna come out because literally that phrase "no means no" was like the slogan of Me Too. Like that's literally, I think that was in like their mission statement or something. Like it was literally the campaign slogan of the Me Too movement. So you got this young 21-year-old white woman using the actual verbiage of the Me Too movement against this big burly buck, essentially, because Shannon is cock diesel, cock strong, NFL Pro Football Hall of Fame, still in great shape. You got this big burly buck on this, tender young little 21-year-old white woman, a girl young enough to be his granddaughter, and she's saying no means no. They're about to drag it, and that's why he was willing to pay $10 million, because this is going to, because if nothing else, like he's probably going to get dropped from ESPN. Like the text alone can get him dropped from ESPN. He's probably going to lose. That's why the 10 million was a drop in the bucket to him, because he's probably going to lose $100 million, let alone just the 10 million. You know, you get this to go away and be quiet. 10 million is nothing to the 100 million you're about to make. But who's going to touch a guy that literally has, whether it's true or not, heavily edited or not, I told you these things follow you whether they're true or not, has literal text messages allegedly saying no means no, and play an anal play with no condom on a 21-year-old white woman that's young enough to be his damn granddaughter. Yeah, man, this don't look good at all.
That's heavy. And by the way, everybody, in case you just got here, if you could hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe, that helps us to grow the platform. We don't have ESPN money, so we're rocking it out on YouTube. So hitting the thumbs up button really helps to make sure you spread the word on intelligent Black conversations, things like that. I'm talking to Mr. Jeff Lightsy Jr. from Victory Formation Sports. His show's all over the internet, and his Instagram and Twitter tags are JLightsy7. So I'm asking anybody who follows me, go follow him. You will like Jeff. He's a good guy, smart guy, and capable. And I hope you'll support his platform. And also, for those of you that want to know about wealth and things like that, if you go to drboycefinance.com, you can get a free wealth guide in terms of things that you can do as you become wealthier to protect the wealth that you have. My PhD is in finance. I'd love to help you. And we do class every single morning. We have a class for the whole community called Money in the Morning, Economic Consciousness. That's free. In a little while, I'll tell you how to join if you're interested. Now, we're talking about Shannon Sharpe. For those that just came in, I want to give you a briefing. So Shannon Sharpe was accused by a young 21-year-old OnlyFans.
That's her, by the way. Like that's
really her. Okay. So this is not her. That is okay. So we're gonna take her down. That ain't right. Okay. So that's the wrong Gabrielle. It's crazy. That name is so rare. It's weird that there were two people with that name. But anyway, so this is her. And the reason Jeff knew it was her is because Jeff's a real journalist. He ain't like these fake journalists that you see on MSNBC and Fox that work for the Democrat Republican parties. He works for our community and he works for the truth. So that's why you got to follow Jeff. But anyway, so Shannon was accused by this woman. I'm gonna give you kind of the bullet point update and on all this. And because I want you to not just know what happened, but the goal is to really talk about the conversation in a way that's going to elevate all of us where we can learn from it. I don't really want to just gossip about whether or not Shannon was doing whatever. But here's the deal. So the lawsuit was filed Sunday, April 20th, 2025 in Clark County, Nevada. And she's seeking $50 million, $50 million in damages. She was previously represented as Jane Doe. But to retaliate, Shannon and his attorney released her name, Gabriella, and she has a long last name, and Jeff probably knows that, and we'll get to that. And also, so the plaintiff says that she met Sharpe in 2023. So this is I guess, a relatively long relationship. I guess. They entered into a quote unquote rocky consensual relationship that lasted nearly 2 years, in which she describes Sharpe is getting more controlling and abusive. The relationship reportedly became non-consensual, allegedly, after Sharpe's September 24th Instagram live incident, where he pretended to where the button was actually allegedly accidentally hit, and he was, whatever. And so anyway, after that occurred, she says that's when the non-consensual incidents happened. That's what she's claiming. And so here, in terms of what happened next. Let's see here. So after that, there was an October 2024 incident, she claims, where the plaintiff alleges that Sharpe forcibly took her to her apartment, coerced her into performing oral sex, and anally raped her while she sobbed and begged him to stop. A second incident occurred weeks later under similar circumstances. She says also January 2025, the plaintiff claims Sharpe sexually assaulted her again, refusing to use a condom despite her objections. The lawsuit details Sharpe's alleged controlling behavior, including threats to choke or kill her, such as an incident where he reportedly said, "If you ever do that again, I will effing kill you," after catching her sharing her location with friends. So she claimed that she showed her location. He said, "I'm gonna kill you." An audio recording released by Busby reportedly captured Sharpe threatening to choke the shit out of her, etc. So the plaintiff alleges Sharpe recorded their sexual encounters without her knowledge and shared them with associates. So Jeff, and there's more, and I want to get to that because I want to get to Shannon's response, because I think that people should hear that too. It almost seems like, though, sometimes with attorneys, because they're trying to get the most money, do you think that sometimes maybe there's an exaggeration, right? Or do you think that maybe sometimes we're not even allowed to ask all the questions? Like, one question I would honestly have to ask is, if a man, I'd ask the ladies in the room, if a man assaults you in October, is he going to be visiting you for New Year's Eve of the same year? Are you going to have him back at your house in January? You're going to go see him in January? I'm not judging, because apparently we're not allowed to judge, but I don't understand that. Most people I know that have something like that happen to them, they don't go back and see that person. And what is interesting about this is that people don't know the difference between fantasy and reality. Like, it sounds like they had some rough stuff going on. And a lot of people do that. They do the choking and the spanking and the dog collars. And it seemed like they had the black slave fantasy where she sent the text about, "You put the big black baby in me," and all that. So I think that's the part that's confusing for people. Is like, why, if a man did that to you, why are you going back to see him again? Why isn't that the stopping point of the relationship? It almost seems like the suit would have been filed back in October of 2024 rather than April of 2025. What do you think? Am I crazy here?
No, no, I don't think you're crazy at all.
Oh, and let me ask you this other question before you go.
Mhm.
I'm cutting you off, but I saw a good question in here. I'm gonna put it on the screen. Wayne asked this question: where is the police report? Was there
Yeah.
one filed? So yeah, please, you know what's going
Yeah.
on.
So with this, the biggest thing about, like, I always lean towards that first. Like, hey, if you feel like, you have been assaulted, you should go file a police report, right? Like, you should go get that on wax with the authorities because you deserve justice if something happened to you. With that being said, I will say it is a lot easier to win a civil case than a criminal case, because in a criminal case, it's a lot of he said versus she said. Whereas a civil case, I don't have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this took place to award you a lump sum of money. Whereas I have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt to a jury to get someone tried, convicted, and sent to jail. So that is one point in there. All that being said, you still should file a police report. Like you should, like, if you sincerely deserve justice, you need to go file a police report and then go do your civil thing. That's how I like. If you still want to do a civil thing, that's cool. Like, do that too. Like, I can tell, like, if you were done unjustly, do both. File those criminal charges and file that civil charge. Now, with that being said, do I think lawyers exaggerate things to get the maximum amount of money? Absolutely. Because what I didn't know, what I've learned from, like, just studying this case, lawyers like Tony Busby command between 30 and 40% of the final award. Meaning, if she wins this $50 million lawsuit, Doc, you're way better at math than me. What's 40% of 50 million? I mean, it's roughly what, 20 million? Like, he'll get 20 million. Yeah, he'll get roughly $20 million from this. Even in the case of the 10 million, he would have got 4 million in that, like, in that case, because he's doing it pro bono. And so he's like, no, 4 is not good enough. We'll go for that 20. It sounds a lot better than 4 is 20. And so there's that aspect as well on why he is pursuing it so hard and why he would advise her to turn down. If he sees the evidence and you feel like you have a good case, he would advise her to turn down the 10 million, because he'd much rather work a little bit harder to get that 20 million versus not doing any work at all and getting the 4. It's like, I'd just rather put in some work and get 5 times them out.
Yeah, well, right. And the thing about the money part, because the money, I'm always analyzing that as well. Is it almost seems to me like they offered her the 10 million because they thought they could buy her silence.
Absolutely.
That's what it's right. I mean, because you played you took a risk by making that offer, because if she rejects it, she could say, see, he offered me 10 million, but because I know this happened, I'm gonna go for the 50 million, right? Which adds credibility to her case. So it's almost like now in hindsight, they would have been better off offering nothing. Right? If you're going to go the righteous role and take the offense,
and if you did nothing wrong, yes,
right. Well, here's the thing too. Here's what I'll say though. Partly in their defense is that I bet you there are lots of cases where people will have paid money, even when they weren't wrong. I remember I had a conversation with David Banner once where we were talking about just people that want to just accuse you of things just to throw spaghetti at the wall, see what sticks. And I said, man, it ain't right to have to pay money if you didn't do anything. And he said, sometimes that's just the cost of doing business. You just, Will Smith actually said he keeps 8 lawyers on retainer just because he gets sued so often for things he did not do. And sometimes you write checks just to not even have to deal with it. And unfortunately, lawyers like Busby have become experts and well known for doing shakedowns. They like the Jay-Z situation made him look pretty bad. The story got changed and all that right in the middle, which made him seem like an ambulance chaser who looks at black wealthy men as an easy target. Because to some extent they are. Rappers, and I'm gonna say this, and this is what everybody who's got a black son, everybody who's got a black brother, everybody who's got a black friend, a black male friend that is out there in these streets doing whatever, please tell them this. Look, there are predators. There are predators out there that either are waiting to catch you slipping. You get drunk, you did something silly. They're gonna get all that money. Or they'll pick a fight with you just so you'll punch them in the face so they can sue you. Who was it? The rapper DaBaby. DaBaby talked about that. He said, I used to try to do the tough guy thing and keep it real and be in the streets. He said, but then I got sued a couple times for millions of dollars after I decided to swing on somebody. He said, man, I ain't doing none of that ever again. And I said, thank you. That's what you do. Let your bodyguards or let somebody else, like why you got to be in the middle of the fight, and I always even said that was the mistake Tupac made. Tupac felt like he had to always be on the front line, but the king is not a pawn. The pawns are on the front line. The king is in the back being protected. The queen's protected. And it sounds arrogant, but it's not. You are responsible for other people. Shannon Sharpe has a $1 billion brand. Yes. He's getting 100. He was going to get 100 million, but he has a $1 billion brand. If you look at the long-term economic potential of the money this man would have made for the rest of his life, it would be well over $1 billion if he was investing his money. I know how to value an asset. Shannon was a $1 billion asset. So you $1 billion asset. You're employing people. You're taking care of everybody from your cousins to your siblings to your mama. Everybody's benefiting from all that you're doing. You have to protect that. And what you see, the reason that some people see black male celebrities, particularly athletes and rappers, as easy targets is because they haven't, the culture doesn't teach them to think strategically about wealth protection in terms of shifting your behavior to make sure you don't lose millions trying to keep it real, trying to be a thug, or getting in this crazy situations that you ain't got no business being in when you making 80 million a year. What say you to that, Jeff?
No, it's 100% right. And one thing I just want to add to what you're saying, to add another wealth drainer that happens between a lot of rappers and athletes is also the baby mamas, right? Like having the babies. Like that's something Shannon had to deal with in the 90s. We talked about it earlier. He had 2 kids born in 92 and another one born, 2 kids born in 92 and another one born in 94. I'm sure that cost him a lot of money during those times. Because I'd imagine he wasn't with any of those people's mother. And so therefore it probably cost him a lot of money. Same thing we see happening with Anthony Edwards having 4 babies in one calendar year with 4 different women. And so I'm adding to what you were saying. And that's it's just
you said
it's
4 in 1 year?
1 calendar year. Yep. 4.
Damn.
Anthony Edwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, go keep going.
And those women were so strategic in the way they tried to get him. One, they're all like 10 years older than him, which is another thing. And 2, they would have those babies in Atlanta, Georgia, where child support laws are whatever, and then move to like California. like one moved to California, the other moved to New York. So they try to get the 2 biggest child support states when it comes to taxing high incoming men on child support. They moved to those 2 states. Yeah. So that's how wicked they were. In Shannon's case, man, I mean, just you would think, like you said, someone who probably has, 30, 40, $50 million in the bank, whatever the case may be, on the crisp of making another $100 million or more, right? I think it was starting at 100 million. I think it was going to be more than that. On the verge of making another $100 million deal, to have just to not have the wherewithal to just not know how bad this could be. I mean, this is a man that says he don't even take elevators with women because of how anything could go down. But you thought it was smart to go into the bedroom of a 19-year-old, of a 20-year-old, of a 21-year-old white woman. Like that to me, like, okay, you're scared to get on the elevator with a woman, but you go lay down with a 19-year-old white one? Like what, at 54? Lay down with a 20-year-old at 55? Lay down with a 21-year-old at 56? But you won't get on the elevator? Like, come on, man. Like that to me is ass backwards. That just doesn't make any sense at all. And this is about to be, because that's why he was willing to offer that 10 million. This isn't going to cost him $10 million. And whether it's going to cost him over $100 million, not just on basically because he could lose his podcast deal, but in public image. Like his public image will never be the same. And no. You mean to tell me they're going to have, because ESPN's owned by Disney. So you mean to tell me on the Disney network, they're going to have the big black buck who is doing anal with no condom on the 21-year-old white woman who's saying no means no?
Oh, Jeff,
no means
man,
no?
Come on, man. You cutting to the heart on that one, man. That's woo, buddy. When you say it like that, I forgot that ESPN is owned by Disney.
Yes.
That is not good for him. That's gonna be messy. Wow, that's an interesting perspective that you brought into that. And one thing I think that men should understand as well in general, and people is, people think Well, not to say that this lady didn't have these things actually happen to her. I almost have to take her out of the category in terms of when you use the shakedown language. I would respectfully remove her from that category because it sounds like something might have happened if he was writing those big checks. However, if you want to talk just generally about the idea of gold diggers, right, and just what that concept is, people don't realize that a lot of so-called gold diggers are very, very smart. I can say this as a financial expert myself. I can say that a lot of gold diggers are financial scientists. They will study your behavior. They will study your contract. They will know how much money you make. They know the difference
Absolutely.
between the laws in Georgia
Mhm.
and California. They know everything there is to know about men. They know how to seduce them. They know how to take advantage of you when you're your most vulnerable. They know when you let your guard down. They know that when you get around a pretty girl, you're gonna be stupid. And our IQ with men, our IQs drop. The big button, the smile comes in the room, and we become Forrest Gump. Hey, Jenny. Like we did, and I think it's kind of like there are just people that just sort of know how to work that. And actually, I saw this crazy video. I'm gonna share it with you, Jeff. I want you to watch it. I put it on my Instagram. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance, and it's actually from a lady who calls herself a gold digger, and it's actually kind of funny because basically she just kind of gives the game a little bit in terms of like telling women like, look, if you're gonna be a gold digger, go dig for gold. So let me show you the video. It's kind of funny. It reminds me of Brittany Renner a little bit. All right, so let me stop sharing for a minute because I want to actually she's the lady wearing the red. And let me see if I can share my audio. Okay, make sure I got it. All right. So here we go. All right. So I'm gonna play this. Y'all let me know if y'all can hear this lady talking. So here it goes.
A gold digger if she just wants you to pay for dinner.
We can hear you.
Gold diggers go after G-Wagons and Birkins, not a plate of pasta and a glass of wine. And I know this because I'm a gold digger. That's why I have things like, I don't know, land. The girl hopping into your Honda Civic to go to the Cheesecake Factory is not a gold digger. She is simply doing charity. If you don't have any gold, stop accusing women of digging for it. That's like saying women only like you because you look like Justin Bieber, but you're bald, babe. And to my ladies, if they're going to call you a gold digger anyway, might as well do it right. Life's a bitch, babe. Marry rich. Go find rich husband, baby. It's not a gold.
So I thought that was kind of funny, but it's kind of like you'd be surprised at how a lot of like you look at Brittany Renner. She's very pretty and she's very intelligent. But unfortunately, I think I don't align with her from a morals based standpoint. I kind of think, and I think that she's living a very risky, costly, or she was living a risky, costly lifestyle. Because you're exposing yourself to a lot of STDs and a lot of bad situations by you think that it's just all about the sex and the money when really, it can get really deep, really bad, really fast. So generally, where do you think it's going to go from here, Jeff? What do you think is going to happen with Shannon? You think he's going to be able to recover?
I think he will. I think he has a strong enough base to not just totally disappear from the planet, but he's going to lose a lot of money. I mean, I think the ESPN thing's over. I think ESPN has to cut ties because they've suspended people and cut ties with people for less. Like, let's just call it what it is. Like, Paul Pierce was just on camera doing everything that was legal, but he's on camera with strippers or whatever. They weren't naked, but he was on there. He's on Instagram Live, and they cut bait with him. Right now, wow. Shannon is status is a lot higher than Paul Pierce, but that was a lot less damning than what this lady is accusing Shannon of and allegedly showing proof of it. So I definitely think Disney ESPN cuts bait because he's only on there 2 days a week anyway. It's easy for them to just go ahead and cut bait. And I think they're having their soft launch, like they're doing a soft launch by having Stephen A put it out there, essentially saying like the bosses are talking about this. And I don't know if Shannon can come back. Like that's their soft launch. That's like, hey, Stephen, go out and let the people know we're investigating it. We're taking this seriously. And then now, once again, he put that out before these text messages are out. They probably already had access to the text messages, right? And so they're soft launching it. So when this news breaks, it makes it a clean break to get rid of them. But I don't think it stops there, though. Like I don't think it stops with ESPN. There's like Shannon got his hand in a lot of bags, right? Like he's getting a lot of bags from a lot of different people because his podcast is popping so much. But I can almost all but guarantee you, quite a few of those bags are going to stop. He's going to stop cashing those checks because who wants to be a part of this? And once again, I mean, I hate to say it what it is, but a lot of these people he's doing business with are middle-aged white men, right? And what do middle-aged white men have? young daughters. So you tell me if I go take you to lunch, you might be looking at my 24-year-old daughter because this girl's younger than that. If I take you, if I invite you to a company outing or a corporate event or whatever, or we got all of our kids and all of our families, our daughters in high school and early college or just graduated, who's to say you won't be trying to pick them up? Right? They can love you and love to do business with you all you want. But they don't want you preying on their children. You know what I mean? Like they don't want you, like these middle-aged white men don't want you preying on their children. Like and now to have it out publicly that you are okay with dating 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds, and then so okay to where you could be forcing yourself on these young ladies. Nah, man. Nah, I'm telling you, those company CEOs have children the age of this girl, if not slightly older. And Shannon is being accused of forcing himself on this young girl, and them folks ain't gonna be having that. I can guarantee you that.
Well, everybody, you're listening to Jeff Lightsy Jr., and we're talking about the whole situation with Shannon Sharpe and the accusations against him for alleged sexual assault. But it's gone much deeper. He offered her $10 million. She turned it down, and now some ugly text messages were revealed that have hurt his case quite a lot. If you can hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe if you have not done that yet. And I'm going to put Jeff Lightsy Jr.'s tag up here so you can follow Jeff. He's a great analyst on all things sports. And he's also really an advocate for HBCUs and really follows HBCUs very closely. So check out J Lightsy 7. It's right here on the screen. Also, this podcast is on Spotify. So if you go to Spotify, look up my name, Boyce Watkins. You can find the podcast episodes on Spotify. And I'll put powernomics.com up here also as a shout out to Dr. Claude Anderson, the one and only. He's like a father figure to me. I love this man. And his ideas are the ideas that all of our people need to hear. So powernomics.com, go check it out and make sure your kids read those books. So let me go through some financial stuff with Shannon. I was kind of looking over his life. And it's interesting how, first off, I'm going to say this. My prediction is you're right. I think he's going to end up kind of dealing with maybe kind of a Chris Brownish kind of scenario where, Disney ain't going to mess with him no more. ESPN, all that ends. Maybe even the relationship with Cowherd, I guess that helped Club Shay Shay kind of blow up. I see that ending. But what I don't see ending is the fact that, and this is another reason for those who want to understand this from an economic standpoint, this is why ownership matters. You remember there was a time where Kyrie Irving was pretty much getting spanked by the NBA. Anybody remember that? When Kyrie was just going through it because he shared a tweet and it was completely unfair. He didn't deserve it. Kyrie's a smart man. He's a fan of Powernomics as well, by the way. So shout out to him for that. But it just kind of kept coming, right? And it didn't even make any sense. They just said we're going to keep beating this boy like a field slave and hope that he folds, and he didn't fold. In fact, he went on and did great things as a player. He's amazing. God bless Kyrie. But then around the same time, if you remember, Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, was seen in the old photo from the 1950s.
Yeah.
He looks like he's ready to run up on some black kids trying to go into a segregated high school. And people were like, this is racist, this is bad. And they were starting pointing out the obvious double standard. The obvious double standard was, wait a minute, so Jerry Jones did this and y'all ain't do nothing. But Kyrie Irving, you just trying to whip this guy, destroy him, suspend him, and all this other stuff. And what was interesting to me was that when I would talk to people about it, is I said, yeah, you're right, there is a double standard. I said, but you do understand that Kyrie's an employee and Jerry Jones is the owner. The owner gets to decide who gets hired and who gets fired. Now, maybe the league could have done something, right? But the league was like, no, this man's worth an insane amount of money. So they're not going to, the standard does not apply to things you own versus places that you're renting or you are an employee. Yeah. Everybody understand that there's a difference there. So here's what I'm saying with Shannon. In the areas where he's working for somebody, getting these glorified jobs with ESPN and sports networks, I see that a lot of that falling to the side. Maybe there will be some people that will pick him up. I have no skin in the game on that one way or the other. But for the things that he actually owns himself, like he owns that YouTube channel that's got 10 million subscribers by now. I'm sure he owns other things like whatever the little liquor brand and all the other things he's involved with. In those areas, you have much more security. And this is one of the reasons why, and I need everybody to hear this. This is one of the reasons why I tell everybody, if you got a black son, teach him how to own something, because what you own is what protects you, not what you borrowed or you're dependent on these partnerships or to be somebody's employee. And so just for the sake of security, personal security, community security, family security, ownership has to become a core value in the Black community, right? Because whether Shannon did this or not, he's still a Black man, and I hate the idea. I don't even want to imagine that he could be a criminal in this situation, although I have to accept that possibility based on what I've seen. But at the same time, though, this is just a lesson about the economics of ownership that I hope everybody will pay attention to. So Jeff, what say you to that?
Oh no, I 100% agree with you. His saving grace will be the fact that he has built a media platform, and it'd be different if he was like in Stephen A's situation where he's on TV 5 days a week, multiple times a day, and essentially the bulk of his income comes from someone else. Where Shannon has built an empire, a media empire, with the Nightcap, which is its own separate entity, Club Shay Shay, which is the interview format, and then of course his liquor brand, his cognac that he serves. So that is his saving grace, because albeit, if you lose the volume network pushing you, you may not get Cat Williams numbers anymore, but you built up enough of a core audience, a core base that's gonna rock with you through and through, and it's gonna be like, hey, Unc, I believe you. It's still it's a shakedown, whatever. No matter what evidence comes out, that's what your hardcore fans do, no matter what. The reason why I think the network route is probably completely over with him, because it's the second time, right? Like he wasn't employable until 2016, till Skip came and got him. That lawsuit or that restraining order was filed in 2010. And I don't know exactly when he was fired from CBS, but he was fired from CBS, I believe, shortly after. And he didn't get another job for 6 years. And it took Skip Bayless to seek him out and give him that opportunity. And that's exploded into what it's become. But you don't come back.
Why was he fired from CBS?
It was that, remember, wasn't it that restraining order that he had? I remember you read it earlier today from way back in 2010.
Yeah.
So but you don't come back from the dead twice. Not in that space. Right, Skip revived you and brought you back to life, and he credits Skip for that. He's like, yo, nobody would touch me after that thing went down with CBS, and Skip kind of looked out for me and gave me a helping hand, and that's why Shannon never really said anything terrible about Skip, because he understood like he wouldn't have this media empire that he has now if it wasn't for that opportunity on Undisputed back in 2016. That being said, men like Shannon don't come back from dead in corporate America twice. Like, you don't do that twice, right? Like we gave it to you the first time. Skip revived you, turned you back up. You built what you built, but you don't do that twice with allegedly another white woman and think that's going to fly in the corporate space. So that's why I think his days of being like on, cable television may be over. But luckily for him, he does own his IP of Club Shay Shay, Nightcap, and others.
Yeah, and I think that could work. Now, what's interesting to me about Shannon is kind of like, since this happened, I took the time, because you and I were going to talk about this. I kind of looked up his background. He's had some interesting stuff happen. He had the restraining order over the whole relationship with the lady that she claimed was abusive, but again, it was dropped, so he wasn't convicted of anything. But I think that's interesting. Then also, it says here that he admitted to losing $10 million in a casino in 2016, and he claims he lost a lot of money through poker, high stakes gambling. And they claim in 2004 that he filed for bankruptcy, forcing him to sell homes and cars. While he recovered, his wealth never fully rebounded to its peak. Now, I'm not saying that all this is the case. This is all alleged, but it's interesting to me because when I saw that, I was thinking about a lot of things. One was, okay, who gambles $10 million in a day? That's a lot. And then two, that speaks of addiction, to be honest with you. It really does. And then number two, it made me think about just like the sports betting culture and how big that's gotten. And I can tell you, they target guys your age. I think you and I might have talked about this. They target guys specifically your age. There's something about males under the age of 35. And right now it's black males under the age of 35. That's who they're targeting, because they're running all these ads with Jamie Foxx, Kevin Hart, pretty much anybody who's a black male of influence. The
LeBron James
betting sites. Who else?
LeBron James.
Yeah, Shaquille O'Neal.
DraftKings person. Shaq is a prize pick person. Yeah, it's all sports gambling. Yeah.
And so what they're doing is And it makes me sad because I mean, don't get me wrong. I bet on stuff before. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not judging anybody's behavior, but I've also seen just what gambling addiction can do to people. I've seen people kill themselves over a gambling debt that they couldn't pay. I've seen, families get destroyed over this. People's wealth definitely get destroyed, but that's the least you lose, And so anyway, it just seems like Shannon's just been in some weird shit. Here's another one. In 2023, his house got burglarized. Hang on, I lost my page. His house got burglarized, and they took over $1 million worth of stuff out of his house or something. So it was just kind of interesting. Like this stuff don't happen to regular people. What do you think is going on with it? Is he living like some wild secret life?
I don't know. If he is, it's going to come to light, and it looks like it's starting to. The burglar, his home's being burglarized and getting a lot of stuff taken from it. Like that to me isn't like odd, because that happens to a lot of celebrities who have multiple homes, especially multiple homes on different coasts. And I can see where you're at, right? Like I can see you're on TV in Miami, but I know your house is in Los Angeles, right? So I know, A, you're not there, but B, probably nobody's there. So I can go in and try to do whatever. So like that happens a ton to celebrities. So that part isn't so shocking to me. The other stuff though, man, like it's just, but see, here's the thing. When stuff like this happens to people like Shannon, like celebrities, like this case, and I tell you, there's people that have been waiting for a crack in the armor, any kind of chink in the armor for a guy like Shannon Sharpe, because he's been riding high for like the last, like ever since Skip publicly dumped him. And Shannon's been the winner of that. He's the winner of that divorce. He went immediately and he had already had Club Shay Shay kind of popping, but he immediately got the ESPN deal. He immediately started the new thing with Chad Ochocinco, which is blown up in its own self. And then he had the Cat Williams interview, right? So like those three major incidents happened post the divorce with Skip, and he was the winner. And Skip is out here doing 20v1s versus a bunch of nobodies, while Shannon is about to ink $100 million podcast deal. Like that is like, he was the winner. But the problem with winning breeds jealousy. And so the jealous folks were waiting for any kind of crack or chink in the armor, and now they're going to attack, and there's going to be more stuff that comes out about Shannon's life that isn't public that will now be made public because people are now digging, right? Like people, like, because nobody knew about this Carly girl 2-3 days ago, but now they do. It's like, well, if he was doing this with her, and we know about the Michelle incident on Instagram Live, who else is out there? Will there be more people added to this civil case? Because the thing about civil cases is it's a lot easier to win them when there's multiple Jane Does versus just one. Every one where the person, they finally got that settlement and they got that big money. Deshaun Watson, 20-something victims. P. Diddy, 100-something victims. Bill Cosby, there was a whole bunch of victims, right? Or alleged victims, or whatever the case may be. So you win these cases with multiple people. When there's the one singular Jay-Z, we can get rid of that real quick. What happened with Drewski, we can get rid of that real quick. And at one point it looked like that with Shannon, but now she's bringing facts. And some other young lady somewhere is seeing this and seeing her win, at least in the court of public opinion. And they're like, oh, she might be getting, she turned down 10 million. So she thinks she about to get 50.
Man,
I won't turn down 10 million. I won't turn down 10 million. And I got some text messages. I got some videos. I got some, hey, Busby, hook me up. And now you could potentially see more names added to this thing. And that's the scary part.
Wow. Well, everybody who just came in, I'm talking to Jeff Lightsy Jr. We're talking about Shannon Sharpe and these allegations against him. If you haven't done it yet, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. And also don't forget that you can follow Jeff at JLightsy7. I'm gonna put this up here, and I'm not gonna keep Jeff up all night. I know Jeff was gracious enough to come in late at night, and he's got a newborn baby, so I gotta let this man go be a father. But go follow him at JLightsy7, and also don't forget that we're still gonna have class in the morning. We do class every single morning. It's called Money in the Morning Economic Elevation class. If you want to get better at your economics, manage your finances, build generational wealth, I'd love to support you on that. It's free to the community. Tens of thousands of you have signed up. You can go just text the word morning to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948. We meet 7 days a week at 10 a.m. Eastern because we're serious about building our black wealth. Our black wealth will not grow if we do not grow. The racial wealth gap will not close until we open our minds into the possibilities and start doing the hard work. If you don't do the heavy lifting, then ain't nobody going to lift you out of your mess but you. So if you want to join us, just text the word morning to 87948. I'll send you an invitation. Now, with that said, Jeff, so the last point I kind of want to end on this is you said something that was really interesting to me, and this is a great wealth lesson for anybody who's got a black male in their family with potential, whether you're talking about somebody who's an athlete or just a smart guy who's going to get a great job one day, working in a corporation, or some genius who's going to start a tech company and make a bunch of money. We've discussed that, where having wealth will make you a target, whether you did something or not. And the Tony Busby's, just the likelihood of a Tony Busby taking the case is accelerated by your status, right? If Gabriella had gone to him and said, hey, this random guy that nobody knows who works at Arby's did this terrible thing to me, Tony Busby would not be taking this case. So give me a yes in the chat, everybody, if you understand, if you agree with me that the money is what makes it into what it is. It's not just what happened, it's the money, right? If it was a regular guy, like one of her regular OnlyFans, it would just be a criminal case, most likely, right? Because you can't do that type of stuff if you do that stuff. But because he's a celebrity, he's a marked man. And not only is he a marked man by Gabriella, but if he has a pattern of bad habits, let's think Bill Cosby, right? If he has a pattern of even questionable habits with women, putting himself in numerous situations that make him vulnerable, they gonna whittle away at this man's wealth till he got nothing. You saw Bill Cosby go from being a billionaire to damn near a thousandaire after all those women came away and chipped at a piece of that money. And here's what I want everybody to get, because y'all, a lot of y'all come to class with us in the morning and you hear me talk about how your choices play a big part in your ability to protect your wealth, your health, your mental health, and your relationships. I want to talk about those two things in particular. Here's the deal, because your mental health affects your relationships, right? Crazy people have different relationships from regular people. Two things came to mind with Shannon. Number one is something that a lot of you should research. Shannon, if you look in his history, and you might know this, Jeff, he was not raised by his mother. He was raised by his grandmother. Mm-hmm. That's highly abnormal. It's normal in the black community to not have your daddy in the house, which has deep implications that people refuse to acknowledge. But to not have your mother and to lose your father at the age of 8, like Shannon did, there's a chance it could have affected his relationships with women. It probably did. His attachment style. James Brown, I don't think his mother was the best, so he had some weird issues with women. And what I'm saying is, what happens is that when you have these issues that come from your childhood and you don't address it, you don't heal, and you carry that mental illness into adulthood, what happens is, in many cases, I've observed, is you form patterns, you form habits. The same thing kind of keeps happening. And you have somebody like, say, an R. Kelly, who also had some issues as a kid. He went through some terrible things. So R. Kelly becomes an adult and he's got this clear mental health issue. Nobody addresses it and nobody challenges him on it because he's rich and he's famous and he thinks he's vulnerable. And look at where that put him. All that work, all that beautiful singing, all that talent, all that potential down the drain. They done took your wealth. They done took your reputation, and they've also taken his freedom. Bill Cosby, they took his wealth, they took his reputation, they took his freedom. Tiger Woods, they didn't take all his wealth. They got a big chunk of it, though. He's probably paid $250 million to white women through the years, but they took his reputation. They didn't get his freedom, but still, So my point is to say that with Shannon, I think that so it's really twofold. I'm gonna try to compile this into a simple thought so I don't talk all day. Is one, if you have a mental health problem, you need to fix that damn thing. You need to fix it. Go talk to a therapist, read some books, learn, because if you carry that with you, that's going to be the demon that destroys you and makes you vulnerable because you got it inside your soul and you haven't worked it out. Number two, you said something else that was really interesting that makes Shannon a big target, makes him very vulnerable. You said earlier that once you get accused one time, then the freaks come out at night. Everybody comes out of the woods and says, oh, well, I slept with him 20 years ago and something happened with me. Now, my case by itself wouldn't have any merit because I ain't got no proof. All I got is a story. But
But my proof now is, look, I mean, he's clearly did it because look, look at what he's being accused of now. So people will cling on almost like a boxing match. How you have these undercard fights that wouldn't sell a ticket by themselves. You can't sell these fights. So you attach them to the main event, right? The main event, everybody wants to see Mayweather fight Pacquiao, whatever it is, right? So you attach the undercards to the main event. So now, Shannon, the main event is Gabriella. The undercards are going to start coming. These allegations are going to continue. And so he's going to be fighting lawsuits for the next 20 years. And it just, it's a little sad, to be honest with you, because I kind of thought that what he was building was going to be kind of solid.
Yeah.
I'll let you get the last thought, Jeff.
No, to that point, that's what's so disheartening, because I mean, Shannon's 50-something years old. He's like, he's kind of in the prime of his life, in his public life. For someone that's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, that's made millions of dollars for years now, for the better part of, I don't know, Shannon came into the league in the early 90s. So we're talking about he's been making millions for 30, 40 years, 30, almost 40 years. And now, but see, his wealth is now increasing. You talked about the times where he had to file bankruptcy and lost all that. And it looks as if, at least it looked as if he had put that behind him. And he's literally entering the prime of his life at 56 years old. He's entering the prime of his life with this massive deal that's bigger than probably all his NFL contracts combined. Like this $100 million, they wouldn't get $100 million contracts in the 90s, right? When he played. And so therefore, this $100 million contract was probably going to be worth more than all the money he made in the NFL, the same NFL that he's a Hall of Famer in, and he was going to make that at 56. And now all of that could come crashing down because he wouldn't leave alone a 19-year-old Becky. He just had to have a 19-year-old Becky. And that to me, man, at 54 years old, and that to me is like, is that worth it? Like, in what world has a 54-year-old black man with the status of a Shannon Sharpe, has it ever went good to be with a 19-year-old white woman? Like, when has that ever been okay? Like, in the history of America, when has that ever been okay? Like, not even just with his status, just imagining seeing a 54-year-old black man with a 19-year-old white woman. Like, that ain't never been okay in America. In certain periods of history in America, that would have got you lynched, right? Like, just to be seen with them, let alone to be in their bedroom. So I just hate that this is happening to him, man. This is about to be a very, very expensive lesson that he's gonna have to learn. But hopefully, this is for the next Shannon, or the person who was thinking about doing something like that, and just learning from these mistakes that the Shannon Sharpe made, and you're able to avoid some of this tragedy that it looks like he's running head first into.
Yeah. And and what's really funny too is there's a big knowledge gap between a 50-something-year-old and a 19-year-old. Like even in my, I guess I'm 53, so I can almost speak for a 56-year-old to some extent. And I think I compare how much I knew at that stage versus how much I know now. So I'm just not laughing, but thinking about, but I'm kind of laughing too, about like when he got that text message from her saying, no means no. I cried because you pulled it out, put it in my butt and all this other. And he's probably thinking, wait, you're texting all this. And that's why he said, can I call you? Right? Because now if you're younger, you would text back and go back and forth. Like, I'm sorry, I apologize for what I did. I was a little drunk and blah, blah, right? Or why would you say I did that? He did what you do after you've had some experience in the public eye. You're like, okay, let's meet for lunch and talk about it. At that point, hey, you don't need to be texting nothing else. And I just really wonder what happened in the relationship, because I really also believe that they always had kind of a weird, freaky thing going on. And somehow this was the moment where she's like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get you for this. And I don't know. I'd be curious to know what else is happening. But either way, though,
well, she said it in that Instagram in the lawsuit. She said that the thing that changed was he was caught on Instagram Live with another woman, and that's what kind of sparked. I don't know if it was jealousy. She claims it was embarrassment because she's telling her friends or whatever, I'm dealing with Shannon Sharpe. That's my man. That's my boo. Whatever. And then Shannon Sharpe goes viral in front of all the world with a girl named Michelle, and her name's Gabby. right? And so our friends like, oh, I thought that was your man. I thought you supposed to be with Shannon. Well, he's yelling out some kind of Michelle, and you was with us when it was because it was on live. So you was with us when it was happening. Who was Michelle? You
She
that's
was
supposed to be your
embarrassed.
man. And
She
that
was
is
embarrassed, but she's an OnlyFans model. Like, I mean, like that's what's funny. Like, I imagine being on OnlyFans might be embarrassing, but maybe I'm just old fashioned. I don't know, man. But that's you know that. So it basically sounds like it's definitely a revenge thing, um, which I think some could actually wonder if that really means you were as harmed by the act as you claim to be, right?
Mhm.
Because it does kind of look suspicious when it's like something allegedly happened to you. You didn't go to the police. You went to Tony Busby to go get a payday, and it happens after the relationship ends. So he claims he ended the relationship January 2nd. She's suing later on, maybe to possibly, if you wanted to look at the financial incentives here, which are highly inappropriate. The incentives might be, okay, I got this rich guy leaving my life and he pissed me off. So let me go hurt him and take his money at the same time. And I just, I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of shocked by it, kind of disappointed by it. And I think that we have to really understand just how the world is still a dangerous place. I think, because I'm really curious about. Oh, this is the last thing I think I want to hit because I want to let you go, man. But I'm really thinking about just this environment we live in where a person can make an accusation and then go sue somebody for $20 million. Who says you deserve 20, 30, 40 million dollars? Who says $50 million is the right number? You know, like I almost feel like there should be limitations in the civil courts, right? I think that there should be a limit. Like, okay, you get $250,000, something like that, a nice amount of money. It's enough to change your life. You can live off that. You know, the 50 million. I can tell you, I probably had 20 things happen in my life where they were worse than some of the things that people have sued for $50 million for. You know what I mean? Like I've gone through terrible things. I did not get assaulted in that way, no sexual assault, but I've had other things happen. And I just really think that we should consider this. This is a part of white female privilege that you can say, okay, this thing happened to me and I deserve $50 million because you saw me naked, or because I think there was some ESPN analyst or something, or Fox Sports analyst or something, where a guy saw her naked and she got $20 million, $30 million for it.
Oh, it was Aaron Andrews. Aaron
Yeah,
Andrews.
yeah.
It was a man. She was at a hotel, and he some way was able to get a hole in her room and view her from the hole in his room, view inside her room. Yes.
Yeah, and I think that putting a limitation on how much you can get in financial damages would probably end some of these problematic incentives that people have to just try to do these, to do a shakedown. Because just because he might have done it, that doesn't mean it still can't be a shakedown. If he was broke, they wouldn't be going for the money; they'd be going for criminal charges if he allegedly committed this crime. So I do think the laws need to be changed in that regard. I think that also Black people have to just understand how vulnerable you are, and just realize when you get some money, people are going to be watching you. So thanks a lot, Jeff, man. It was great to see you. I appreciate you hanging out with me tonight and bringing this topic to me.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Doc. Yeah, man. I will continue to. I've been following this closely. I will continue to follow it because I'm just be honest. Because once again, we're not convicting Shannon. I want to make that clear. Like we're not going to do that. We'll allow if he's wrong, we'll allow the courts to do that. But in the court of public opinion, his reputation is tarnished. Like I talked about earlier today, that these things just don't go away. Like they follow you literally to your deathbed. Like the day Kobe died, Gayle King was talking about what happened in Denver in 2023. This is the day he died. So and that was someone who was respected by the end. And she was referencing something 20 years prior. This happening right now, even if he's acquitted of everything and cleared of everything, this will never go away. And that's the unfortunate part.
Absolutely. Well, I want to say thank you all also who came in here live. I know this was late at night and you got the bad signal, but I promise you when I reach out to you, it'll be because we have something that will interest you, something that benefits you. So anyway, I hope everybody will follow Jeff Lightsy Jr. at JLightsy7. That's his Twitter and Instagram. He's really good at what he does. He's one of the best out here. In fact, I'm friends. One of our speakers at the All Black National Convention this year is a great guy by the name of Chris Broussard, who does
Mhm.
Fox Sports every single day, along with Nick. I told you Nick used to work
Nick
for me
Wright,
back.
yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy to see him on Fox. I love those guys. I think they're both great. And I'm gonna tell
It's
you, I
the
put
best
Jeff.
show. It's the best sports show on TV. I'm gonna be honest.
It
That's
is.
my
Oh,
favorite.
and Nick earned it because I remember how hard Nick used to work to be. He was like you, Nick. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. Nick was just like you in that he was dedicated and committed to what he did as a journalist with sports and all that. So it didn't surprise me one bit that he became successful. I still remember telling him that Colin Cowherd had me on his show, and he kind of freaked out about it. And then one day I happened to see him on Cowherd's show, and I said, "Oh man, this is talk about life going full circle." And Chris is a great guy, and I put Jeff right up there with those guys. So I hope y'all would go check him out. This is then you can say you were there before the rest of the world found out how great Jeff Lightsy Jr. is. A lot of y'all were there before the world found out about D1, but we were talking about D1 back in the day. Killer Mike, we were talking about him before the Grammys and all that. So Jeff Lightsy Jr. is that guy. So go follow him, J Lightsy 7. He's a really good brother. And also, just a reminder to everybody, if you want to get a copy of my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, we're letting pretty much the people that follow us buy the book super cheap. I'll autograph it for you, 65% off or 70% off, one of those two, something like that. And I'll ship it to you. You go to 10commandments.boycewatkins.com and you can buy a bunch of copies and resell them. You can start family book clubs. You can start investment clubs with other people. You can give them away to the kids in the neighborhood. The summertime's coming. And so you got to find something to do with your kids. And I encourage you to get them started down the path of generational wealth. That's going to make a difference for the rest of their lives. So that's what we're here for. That's what we want you to do. So God bless you, everybody. And I wish you the best. And I look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow morning. And thanks a lot, Jeff. Good to see you, man.
Appreciate it as always, Doc. Thank you.
All right.